You are listening to Transmissions from the Planet Zog, Milo and Teal, Book 1, Birds of a Feather.
Chapter 8, Messages at Play. Teal and Milo had been home for a whole week since their travels to Essie. Milo was busy designing a pulley to get him, his friends, and numerous heavy objects up and down the treehouse tree. Benji, Shenya's son, and Milo had worked out a plan on a huge sheet of paper where all the measurements were life-size. This was working paper, a special wax-coated sheet which could be wiped clean thousands of times over, but which was flexible and strong enough to be carted all over rough terrain. Finest layers of multi-directional pressed flax and hemp fibres, it could be washed and ironed and reused. The last time Milo had used paper this size was to plan a bridge over the small stream at the bottom of his garden. His idea to cantilever lengths of hardwood across from both sides was something he and Benji had been planning carefully, using small leftover sections of timber from his mother's workshop to build a lifelike model. Covered in glue, Milo had returned home and swore they should skip the model stage and move straight to the real thing. The compromise had been the paper drawing, 3 by 2 meters in size. Benji had joined his two largest sheets together and they'd drawn all afternoon, measuring the timber in their pile and deciding where to put the bolts. The next morning, they began to construct the bridge between the two anchoring platforms Benji's dad had built out of damp-resistant willow wood, and the drawing had paid off. Milo's pulley was constructed of 2 main elements: fibre, made from spider silk, and thick leather padding, which was to serve the multiple purposes of cushioning the spider silk against the rough bark of the tree and forming an adequate concave platform onto which he could transport people and things. Holes had to be bored into the thick leather plates, which needed to be rendered supple and fed with waxes to protect them in all weathers. Benji was responsible for creating the holes, and Milo for marking them in the correct places. Faced with such self-appointed responsibility, the two boys felt the need to consume large quantities of lemonade, and it was on one of their forays into the cool stone-lined pantry to fetch fresh supplies that they heard the news. "There's a school in Ecuador where they live like we do, almost," shouted Teal, breathless and bursting into the room. "Saying, Teal?" spluttered Milo, his mouth full of cooling lemon. "They answered back. Well, they didn't, but we found them on Earth, in a country called Ecuador. They have a similar resonance field to our message, our song. They're almost a complete match, Milo." While Milo was busy designing pulleys outside, Teal had been working in the library, scanning Earth for similar vibrational fields to their song. She was looking for a match where they could pointedly direct their information, knowing that the people they would reach would be ready to absorb and apply it. As her pod crunched through and assessed the live scan images from our little planet Earth, which were continuously pouring into the information holds of Zog, she was finding tiny hotspots dotted about our globe. A small group of Zoggians scanned the Earth continuously, knowing as they did that the planet was just a few steps behind finding their relationship to conscious creation, despite all of the human-made disasters being unveiled. There were enough people who were ready for much of the information they had to share, and Zoggians were fully prepared to send any information which might aid that process and enable Earth to find more love and awareness. "We're going to message them again, Milo. You can sing the song with me and we'll aim the crystal right at them, and then we're going to spread the message all around the area. I also found tiny cells of uplifted appreciation in 5 other countries: California, New Mexico, England, Australia and Finland. We can aim our song at them too, and then we can write some more. I've come up with a list of things we can sing to them about: playing, working things out, making stuff, communicating with like-minded people, living happily." "Whoa there, sis," halted Milo. "You're running faster than this lemonade down my throat. Okay, it's great, it's good. Yes, we can do it. But could you just let me get on with my pulley for now?" "Well, you can come along too if you like." "I could write some new songs while you mount your wires." "Yes, great idea. I'll go and sit in the treehouse while you connect all of this stuff, and then we can touch base when you're ready." "Oh, I'm so excited, Milo." Teal jumped up and brushed her hand against the kitchen ceiling as they moved out of the back door. Pausing for a moment against the warm living wood of the doorframe, Teal gazed out at the lush garden before her. The treehouse sat proudly at the far end, just barely visible from the kitchen window, its coloured rings of thatched straw and painted window frames, the delicate wax tracery just catching the light to reveal a glow of gold and colour from their beloved domain. Teal breathed out a huge sigh. and took her time catching up with Milo. Milo was already connecting silk to the holes he and Benji had burned through their leather that afternoon. As Teal arrived, she felt so thoroughly satisfied, so utterly happy, that she was engaged in something which made her buzz all over with inner excitement. She climbed the ladder, sat down within the lighted circle on the floor of the treehouse, pawed out before her, and began to compose. What if what you want came easily, naturally, freely? What if what you want was wanting you, would see it through? It can only arrive if you are it already. It can only connive with that. It will only turn up if your mind and your feelings possess the essence of its stuff. How do you get it? How do you let it? Spend some time finding things which feel as good as the feeling you'd have if you had what you want. Spend some time liking what you were living already to give yourself more of what you've got. Spend some time feeling good. Spend some time with love, not should. Feel towards what you appreciate. It's never too late. What if what you want came easily, naturally, freely? There, she said, placing her pencil back down on the light-coloured wooden floor she'd sat on, and looked up to the window, the golden edge of the bird-made wax tracery gleaming at her as the sun struck it. Sitting on the branch just beyond the window was the honeybird of their tree, so Teal sang her song straight at the bird, who looked on with a slightly cocked head, chirping at the end as though lending Teal her seal of approval. Yes, bird, said Teal, I like it too. It's odd putting into words things I just live and know, and strangers far, far away on earth live completely different to me. I wonder if I could send them images as well. Show them what we get up to, all the colours and the buildings and the growing projects, all the climbing and the catching of our fishes and the growing of our fruits and the way we make all the beaches along the stream edges and she would have carried on listing at least 100 of her favourite things to do if Milo had not just then decided to burst in on her with a new announcement. Teal, we're going to the jungle tomorrow. Mum wants to collect some vanilla for the village, so she said we could come with her, and this time she said I could go jumping. Disturbed in her appreciative reverie by this highly unlikely scenario, that of her mother allowing her little brother to take to the exhilarating but some would say dangerous mode of transport so favoured by the jungle tree platform dwellers of Zog, Teal stood up. The bird flew off. And if it were not for the instant recording capabilities of her pod, the new song would have flown straight out of her head. Wow, the jungle? Mum is letting us swing around on the bungees? I wonder what's got into her. You know, Milo, we could take some pictures with our pods. I have a feeling there's a way we could transmit them to Earth for the children we're singing to. Yes, they'd love it as much as we do. Swings and ropes and tree platforms and branch bridges and aerial gardens and hanging reservoirs and mobile waterfalls and free tropical fruit wherever you turn. And not forgetting the journey there. Has Mum mentioned whether we'll be taking a flyer or travelling overland? I'd love to visit the Sounding Rocks and that amazing little village where everyone wears the colour of the season so they can blend into nature and not be seen. Not that again, Teal. You're obsessed by those people. They only do it because they love to be alone so much of the time, and that way no one can see each other. Milo, you'd do it too if you wanted to spend all your time writing new creation songs. Dad says the songs they make up there program the crystals to grow all sorts of amazing colours in the mines. You know that huge block of emerald Mum has at our front door? Well, that came because of those people. They work keenly focused because they spend so much time alone. And the result is that the crystals grow large and richly coloured because each of their songs holds such a pure vibration. Meditation Nation. That's what I call them, scoffed Milo. He was ready for action, and too long spent in the sweet but silent realms of meditation was certainly not floating his inner passion boat. As if to emphasise this, Milo took hold of the 2 vertical ropes he was clutching at, hung from branches above him, and turned a full somersault. You can do that when you get big, Teal, but I'm going to be a bridge builder. I will extend the jungle village all the way to the falls so that we can walk and climb there, even if we don't have a flyer to get us there. By the way, did I tell you? I've apprenticed myself to Big Skimmer this week. He's going to show me how to talk to a tree to fell it. And he's even promised to show me how to start aligning trees and creepers along pattern lines. Once I have enough practice, I can start cutting and growing my own wood and building my own bridges. I'm not sure if you know this already, but the Zoggians have a particular way of interacting with nature. It's never about demanding and commanding, but rather asking, intending, and receiving. To those of you not initiated into the ways of Zog, there might not seem to be much of a difference in these two styles, but to the subtle-minded, you would instantly understand how the one is lovingly working with nature, while the other is like a blunt instrument attempting to wrench its own way with brute force through a sheet of thick metal. Love their planet. And children as young as 9-year-old Milo get to practice what is natural knowledge to them from the very start. This tree felling to which Milo was referring was a perfectly normal experience for any young person to have when they were interested in building things. They'd be encouraged to dialogue with the trees and identify which one was ready and willing to be felled. Usually the tree which communicated back was too close up to its comrades for comfort and would far rather start all over again in the great process of life and death than to endure its days in less than perfect light, air and watering conditions. That way the trees would be thinned to enable the most beautiful growth of trunk, branch and leaf, and the forests surrounding each village were extraordinary places to behold. Full of life and light. The floor was as much a pleasure to look at as the crown, for the roots would grow in gorgeous patterns beneath the rocks, and the canopies would be oval and circular, opening like great corals in the ocean of sky. Sometimes the Zoggians would lay out patterns on the ground, asking the tree roots to follow these paths. If water, soil and bedrock had been prepared before the tree planting, the even surface would soon be covered by extraordinary patterns, which in 50 to 100 years could be harvested and used to create magnificent roof trellises, structural walls or other architectural features. The tree's strong wood lignin would grow along pathways shown them by a natural growth auxin chemical and resonant crystal trail laid out on the soil, and this would be reinforced by singing regularly into the crystalline projections forming the required geometric pattern. Some people on Earth have already got hold of some of this technology through their own inspirational nighttime dreams and have been experimenting with plant roots, using them to create fabrics. As the roots follow the patterns of the container they're grown in, they weave a mesh in a specific pattern. But such trends on Earth tend not to think ahead too much, or only in short spans of time. For Zoggian technology to take root here and be used in real architecture, we'd have to think radically differently. I suspect that by the time you grow up, people will be starting to work with nature in this way, inviting great trees to build exquisite structures underground with their roots, and also building houses and other buildings above ground with their trunks and branches, just like in the Zoggian villages. Teal looked at Milo twirling about on his 2 spider silk pulley ropes. "My, you're getting strong, my little brother. Soon you'll be able to cart me around too, if you're going to start handling felled trees and their trunks. I can finally have that nice relaxed life I've been asking for, where I don't have to walk anywhere. I'll just dance or be carried by you." "Silly, I'm not going to waste my strength carting you around, Teal. I'll be building bridges and pulleys and platforms and houses all day." "I'm sure you will," said Teal, as she started daydreaming of projects both she and Milo could build when they were adults, if they started the foundations now.